Hello, this is the October 18th, 2010 issue of United Nations Week News and Views. My name is John Kerry. The views expressed on this program are mine alone, unless I indicate some other source. The purpose of the program is to put before you recent events at the UN that you probably will not come across anywhere else, and to express some views on those events. And you, the listener, are most welcome and encouraged to send along your own views on these or other UN-related issues. What I want to talk about, first of all, is the rescue, the magnificent, marvelous, miraculous rescue last week of the 33 Chilean miners. I'm going to read a bit from a statement from the head of the International Labor Office, Juan Somavia, Director General of the ILO, dated October 13th. He is a Chilean, by the way. He says, first of all, behind this impressive achievement, we have to admire above all the calm, courage, organization, and love of life displayed by the miners. Their fortitude in the face of disaster, which has amazed us all, was a constant encouragement for the rescue efforts. They have my most profound respect. No less exceptional, said Mr. Somavia, has been the tenacity, the skill, and the efficiency of all those from the public and private sector, Chileans and non-Chileans, who contributed their know-how to this great collective success. My congratulations go to Chilean President Piñera, to the government team, and to the people of Chile. All the necessary financial, technical, and human resources were made available so that life might triumph over adversity. Mr. Somavia went on to say, the rescue of the Chilean miners has more than one lesson to teach us as we go about our daily lives. Now listen to this. We cannot allow ourselves to forget how this terrible drama began. A group of miners found themselves trapped underground simply because the safety measures in place were inadequate. Safety at work is a core concern of the International Labor Office, of which Mr. Somavia is Director General and a Chilean himself. He says one way of honoring the bravery of these 33 miners and the worldwide concern for their safe return would be for Chile, for Chilean society as a whole, to become a world leader in occupational safety and health, espousing a cause that would bring honor to this nation. He says the fact is that all too often the views from the world's mind brings us tidings of death and disappearance. By the ILO's reckoning, the mining sector employs around 1% of the global labor force, and yet it generates 8% of fatal accidents. It says every day some 6,300 people die from occupational injuries or diseases, an annual total of more than 2,300,000 deaths. And in this, to this a further 337 million accidents at work per year must be added. Later, Mr. Somavia said, perhaps one of the most significant contributions of the 33 Chilean miners is to have made the whole world that much more conscious of the need to ensure more safety, more protection, more prevention, more decent work with the most urgent attention being given to work done in dangerous conditions. Now, those are the words of Juan Somavia, Director General of the International Labor Office, he being himself a Chilean. And now I turn to Security Council elections and the position of Canada, which was disappointed in the outcome. Canada had hoped very much to be elected to one of the two-year seats which Canada had occupied as a result of elections in the past, but this year Canada lost out. But the Minister for Foreign Affairs on October 12th, Lawrence Cannon, promised that Canada would continue to work towards a transparent council that was accountable to member states as well as representative or responsive to contemporary realities and challenges. He said Canada is proud of its track record on the world stage. He said 2010 was its international year, during which it had pledged to double its aid to Africa and fulfilled that commitment. He said Canada was also on track to double its overall development assistance by March 2011. Since taking off in 2006, the current government, said Foreign Minister Cannon, has also made a significant contribution to peace and security in Africa. Not only was Canada currently involved in 18 UN or UN-mandated peacekeeping operations, it also supported the organization's peacekeeping efforts through capacity building, training, planning, and logistics, as well as the strategic provision of personnel. The minister went on to say, while right, some of the decisions made by Canada were not always popular. Now he gets around to mentioning a few reasons why Canada may not have done better in the voting. And he comes right to the point when he says it had not been helpful that opponents of Canada's election to the Security Council could point to the fact that for the first time in its history, the country had not been united in its bid. And here we have a footnote that says that the leader of the opposition in the Canadian Parliament, Michael Ignatieff, had said that Canada did not deserve a council seat given the current government's track record. Well, the minister says Canada will continue to demonstrate leadership, advancing our national interests and foreign policy priorities, supporting the UN and contributing to peace and stability in the world. We are a nation with a strong international character and an independent foreign policy. We will continue to make our voice heard on the world stage, including through the UN, the Foreign Minister Cannon said. He was asked by a reporter why Canada had not pursued the election, having withdrawn his candidacy after the second round of balloting in the General Assembly, and thus paving the way for Portugal to win the Western seat, the seat assigned to the Western group of countries. Well, the minister said he decided to concede on the advice of his country's permanent representative to the UN and the advice of others. Quote, we thought this was the right thing to do under the circumstances, unquote. And he went on to say the fact that Canada had not been elected was not a repudiation of its foreign policy. Canada had run a strong campaign based on principle, but unfortunately the leader of the opposition had determined that Canada did not speak with one voice. And the opposition leader, in making the statement that Canada did not deserve a seat on the Security Council was, of course, ipso facto bringing about the condition that Canada did not speak with one voice. It was his voice that accomplished this. The minister said he was extremely disappointed that Mr. Ignatieff had indicated that the country did not deserve a seat. And Mr. Cannon, the minister, went on to say that he had never seen any leader of an opposition party dismiss a candidacy for the Security Council. This must have been a very bitter blow to the governing party in Canada to have a leader of the opposition, if I may say so, stab in the back the country's effort to be elected to the Security Council. Michael Ignatieff's statement hurt us, said Minister Cannon, and I'm sure that was putting it as mildly as the minister was able to. Well, the minister was asked whether his country's defunding of the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Middle East, known as UNRWA, or the complaint by the African group that it had delayed debt relief to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, had led to a loss of votes. Mr. Cannon replied that the latter, Congo, had never come up in discussions that he had with the permanent representative, or the permanent representative John McNee had held with African ambassadors. As for funding UNRWA, the Minister for Development had recently corrected all misgivings surrounding that issue, said Minister Cannon, adding that Canada continued to support UNRWA. Now I want to turn to the question of the status of contributions to the UN by member states. The contributions of each country are established by vote, and an invoice is sent at the beginning of the year to each member state stating its annual assessment. States are reminded of late payments when the figures are compiled twice a year. If a state falls behind in its payment and is getting close to losing its ability to vote in the General Assembly as a result, a reminder is issued to that state, as well as to other member states. Well, on October 14th, Angela Kane, Undersecretary General for Management, told the press that total unpaid contributions as of then were $4.1 billion. The controller, Jun Yamazaki, said that the United States owes $1.2 billion. Partly for the regular budget, partly for the peacekeeping budget, partly for the criminal tribunals for Rwanda and the former Yugoslavia, and the rest for the Capital Master Plan, which is generally for the construction of the new building north of the General Assembly built. And that concludes the October 18th issue of United Nations Week, News and Views. We'll be back with the next issue. Meantime, as I mentioned before, do send along your own views, which will be most welcome. You send them to www.unweek.blogspot.com. We will receive them regularly. Goodbye for now, and thank you very much for watching.